Hey, and welcome to your beginner's guide to Jamie from Street Fighter 6. This video is going to be separated into 7 distinct sections. Those are going to include his quirks and special abilities, his overall buttons, the special moves that he has, his super arts, meaning his levels 1, 2, and 3, his strengths and notable weaknesses, the mindset that I think any newcomer playing Jamie should adopt, and the general game plan that you might see most Jamie players using. Great. So, moving on to what is probably the biggest aspect about this character. Jamie drinks. I'm just gonna come out and say it. Jamie drinks in this game. And Jamie's entire character, how to play him effectively, revolves around this mechanic. So let's go ahead and dissect what exactly is the drinking mechanic, what is impacted, and how to use it to your advantage in this game. Jamie's able to go up to level 4. Besides obviously seeing him go up to 4, you'll also know you hit 4 because he'll explode with this burst of energy and his hair will be let down. He'll enter this really goofy, dancey state. So this might be basic information, but we're still going to touch on it. Jamie is actually considerably weaker than most other characters when he first starts off every single round. You offset this by drinking. Every time you drink, you become stronger. So here, his light jab does 90% damage. Meaning it's doing 90% of what it's supposed to be doing at max level, or normally. Here it says he's doing 270 combo damage. Don't worry about the numbers too much, but I want you guys to pay attention that he is doing less than he could. At level 1, the 270 goes to 285. Level 2, 300. Now he's considerably at full strength, quote unquote. And now every single subsequent drink he has just puts him over the line. Just to show it off, level 3, 105, level 4, 110. Now, moving on to the next point. Jamie players were struggling to decide whether to drink and make the character stronger or enforce their pressure, since that is unfortunately one of his main focal points. When you're playing as Jamie, you have to decide whether you're going to apply pressure and stay in your opponent's face or back off and gear up. More on that later. So to incentivize, or I guess to reward the player for doing what the character's good at, which is drinking, they added this cool little feature. I'm just going to reduce his drive gauge. You can see now that he has 1 drive block, it's gaining up to 2, it's going to go up to 3. Now that I reset it, look what happens when I take a swig. And we keep going. You see it shoot up? Drinking now increases your drive gauge. Depending on what caused you to drink, it increases by different amounts. In general, a lot of his moves end up with him drinking. If it ends up with him drinking, you're not just getting stronger, you're getting drive meter back. And if you thought that was all, you'd be wrong. There's actually one more facet that's not commonly described by a lot of other top level players. Jamie has another small little buff every time he drinks. When he does drink, his moves increase in range. Besides some of his moves literally changing, some moves that don't necessarily change become better for him. The prime example, let's go and put Marissa back in the corner. At level 0, this move misses around that range. Let's see how far it reaches. I'm just gonna go a more extreme example. At level 4, he is able to make contact. Some moves, besides becoming stronger, become better spacing wise, the more he drinks. Great, now we're moving on to more meats and potatoes. So, just like any other character, Jamie has buttons, clearly. You can clearly see I'm pressing them right now by pressing his light kick over and over, but he does a little cool little break dance. One of my personal favorite things to do in neutral. I'm being completely honest, when people are wasting time or being passive where I feel like I have a good control to fight, I'll just sit back and do this. Because what are you gonna do about it? Alright, so talking about Jamie's buttons. So like any other character in this game, he has 6 buttons. He has his light punch, light kick, medium punch, medium kick, heavy punch, heavy kick. And there's some slight alterations to each one. The main takeaway for each one, we're gonna go down the line talking about his light punch, crouching light punch, light kick, crouching light kick, all the way down until we exhaust his command normals, like his forward heavy kick and back heavy punch. More on that later. Now, because Jamie changes when he drinks, we're gonna separate this by groups. We're gonna talk about all his normals, all his buttons, with no drink. After we do all that, we will then be introducing what changes, if there are any changes, at each level. So to avoid overwhelming you, for example, Jamie unlocks something at level 1, a dive kick. He does not have access to that at level 0. So I'm going to save that for later when it's more relevant. We're just going to be talking about what he can do at level 0, what he gets access to at level 1, what he gets access to, blah, 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 blah. So, starting with this. Jamie's light punch, standing light punch. It takes 5 frames to start up, and on block, it leaves you 0. Let's go ahead and check what it does on hit. It's 5 frame advantage on hit. I'll be very honest, this move is practically a wet noodle. I don't really see it used too often. I mean, clearly it's a button he has, so if you want to use it, you can use it. But I don't really see a lot of fights being won or determined because you got slapped by his wrist one too many times. To be very truthful, Jamie is more of a kick character. His whole shtick is that he is really good with his legs. So continuing on, his crouching light punch. That's the actual star of the show. Starting at 4 frames, leaves you -1 on block. Unsuccessful hit leaves you 5. Now going down to the next part of the list. Standing light kick. On hit, first of all, 5 frame startup, 3 frames of advantage. On block, -1. After that, we have his crouching light kick. Once again, 5 frames. On hit, +1. On block, -3. Now anybody with a keen eye would have already noticed that the majority of his moves are cancelable right there. Except his down, his crouching light kick. That is not cancelable. The caveat to that though is that it is a true low. Except his down, his crouching light kick. That is not cancelable. The caveat to that though is that it is a true low. Now, moving on to his mediums. Medium punch, standing medium punch. 8 frame startup, 5 frames advantage. On block, +2. So this is definitely a good tool, a strong tool to enforce your pressure. Crouching medium punch. Similar, it has 6 frame startup instead of 8. -1 on block. 5 frames on hit. So for comparison, standing medium. So although the crouching medium does not leave you advantage, it does let you cancel. So you could enforce your pressure. More on that later. Now regarding his medium kick. The standing medium kick, 10 frame startup, 2 unsuccessful hit. On block, -3. Inversely, his crouching medium kick, 7 frame startup, -1. -6 on block. It does create great pushback, just keep that in mind, but it is -6 on block. Now let's talk about one of his command normals. In his medium kick, if you were to press forward medium kick, Jamie actually has an overhead strike. Coming out at 22 frames, unsuccessful hit leaves him +1. On block, -3, so you're safe to do this. It takes a little while to get out, and it is, by definition, reactable. Not by much though, but this is something that you can do. Now, moving on to his heavy buttons. Jamie has a heavy punch, 5 HP. Startup 5 frames. That is exactly right, the same amount of frames as some of his lights, but this is considered a heavy. 3 strikes, unsuccessful hit, +1, so it's your turn. On block, -3. It's no longer your turn, but you are safe. Along with that, he does have a crouching heavy punch. 9 frame startup, so on the slower side. 0 frames on successful hit. So even if you do hit your opponent, it's not your turn. It is cancelable though, just like his standing heavy punch. So you could do things out of it. Now talking about his heavy kicks, this is probably the move for Jamie. Some characters in this game has the move. Jamie's the move is his heavy kick. This is a godsend. This, if Jamie wasn't considered lower on the tier list of many pro players, this would probably be what breaks him. This move, I'm just gonna say it, makes Jamie feel privileged. People will disagree with me on that. I'm a Jamie enthusiast. This move sometimes feels like it's unfair. With a 15 frame startup, 1 frame of advantage on hit. On block, -5, so punishable by definition, but if you're spacing it correctly, good luck. Nobody's gonna hit a 5 frame attack from here. And like most characters, Jamie does have a sweep, his crouching heavy kick. 9 frame startup, it does knock him down, so you do have pressure, but you have options on what to do with the move. What I mean by that, down heavy kick by itself just knocks him down. Down heavy kick into heavy kick has a follow-up move that pushes him back. And guess what? You actually follow that up with something else. Down heavy kick into any punch button will actually allow you to drink. Don't be mistaken, please. Although yes, there is already a lot of moves on the screen going on right now. I have literally set up right now that she's going to strike back the absolute frame that she's able to. She has a 5 frame jab that she'll throw out once I'm done hitting her. Please don't make the mistake assuming that, well, if I could delay this, maybe I can catch some people. No, you cannot. Once you strike the first move, they're locked into that blocking animation. And to prove this, I'm trying to delay as much as I can. It's not working. So if I misread the situation and try using a sweep, it's already bad enough that I'm -11. But if I go for another one, I'm -28. The opponent has time to go to the kitchen, make a sandwich, and come back. You are punishable. And don't get me started on the third strike. -46. So please, unless you confirm the strike, do not continue to sweep. Great, now we have 2 command normals to talk about now. We have his forward heavy kick and his back heavy punch. Forward heavy kick, 16 frame startup, -3 on block. On hit, +3. The move, believe it or not, although you are kicking the crap out of their shin, it is not considered low. It is a mid move, so they can block it standing up. It's good for checking if they're pressing buttons trying to gauge, but for the most part, don't expect this to have the same impact as, let's just say, your crouching medium kick. And continuing on, his back heavy punch. That's going to be 18 frame startup. On successful hit, +1, so it is your turn. On block, you are -3, so very similar to his forward heavy kick. Believe it or not, both of those moves have different impacts depending on how many drinks you have in your system. More on that later. Good, now that we talked about all his normal buttons when he's level 0, let's start talking about what happens at level 1, 2, 3, and 4 respectively. So at level 1, if you press light punch, light kick, medium punch in rapid succession, you get that bad boy. Arguably one of the, if not the best target combo in this game. This move is cancelable at the front end and the back end. So great for confirming hits, for applying pressure, really whatever you need. Now, talking about level 2. I mentioned earlier that there was a command normal, his forward medium kick. This command normal changes properties now. Or more specifically, you can do more with it. At level 2, you can press forward medium kick into medium kick again, and it's a follow-up. This is very similar to the whole sweep situation, that if you get them, go ahead and confirm, you're right, go for it. If you don't hit it, you cannot frame trap it, you cannot do anything special with it. You're making yourself worse off for overextending yourself. 1, leaves you -3. 2, leaves you -14. So please pay attention before you just swing out this wildly. And just like with the sweep, there's actually another follow-up. So forward medium kick, if you end it with a punch button, you drink. Alrighty, let's talk about level 3. So way earlier I was talking about some of his command normals in the heavies, like his forward medium kick and back heavy punch. Well, I think I just spoiled it. His back heavy punch is now completely different. it functions for the most part the same, right? Like he moves his hurt box back, then strikes forward. All that stuff though, the frame data is practically unchanged. 18 frame startup, -3 frames on block. What's actually changed is that now this move has follow-ups, specifically the back heavy punch. Do another heavy punch and he does another strong strike. The full string looks like this. As you can see on the bottom left, it's back heavy punch, heavy kick. The frame data is working against you though, because if you were to just throw this out, you are -20, so very punishable. Even the second hit, -11, very punishable. But if you were to do something like, hypothetically, get a counter hit, the whole thing works. And now, we're going to be talking about the big bad man himself, level 4. So Jamie at level 4 unlocks everything he had before. Like clearly he has his dive kick, he has his back heavy punch, he has his forward medium kick into target, combo, everything. But now, he has access to his front heavy kick, having an alteration. It already looks different, and it looks different because you can now do different things with it. So before, you could only do forward heavy kick and you'd be done. If you got a hit, congratulations. Now, if you do forward heavy kick into back heavy kick, he enters this little stance where he swings around. Depending on what you do next, when, has different impacts. What I mean by that, forward heavy kick, back heavy kick, while he's swinging around, if you were to press a punch button immediately after he starts swinging, he does a headbutt. Okay, that's cool, I guess. But if you delay it, so he has time to turn around, spin around, and move back a little bit, and then press it, he does this. He comes back around and starts swinging wildly. And ultimately, if you were to do the same thing but wait until almost when the animation's over, you get this. Gets real greedy, takes a nice big swing. And anybody who's been paying attention already noticed that Jamie flashes red during those sequences. Like right here, flashing red. So that means, same thing with this. And well, for the last one, not so much. Great, now we're on to the next point. So, we're gonna start talking about Jamie's specials. Just like with the previous section, we're gonna start talking about his specials at level 0, what he unlocks at level 1, 2, 3, and ultimately 4. Starting with the first one, if you do quarter circle forward at any of his punch buttons, you have access to his Rekka. He starts with a backhand punch like this, and depending on what you do after, once again, changes what comes next. So his Rekka splits into two different sections. He has his punches, and he has his kicks, which transform into a drink. Let me try saying that again in English. So quarter circle forward, punch, you would press forward punch again, and forward punch one more time at the very end. 1, 2, 3. That's his punch Rekka. All you know right now that every single move gets worse the deeper in the Rekka you go. What I mean by that is the first move, on block, -6. The one after, -13. And the final move, -17. So if you are going to try and use this move, it's recommended you use it as a hit confirm if you know you're striking your opponent, or if you're not sure and you're just throwing it out wildly, the sooner you stop it, the safer you are. Now, for the other version, same beginning, quarter circle forward punch, and each single one. But this time, instead of forward punch, you'd be pressing forward kick. So forward punch into forward kick. Forward punch, forward kick, forward kick. Just like that, at the end of it, he'll drink, leaving him very vulnerable at the end, so if you're not hit confirming again, you're opening yourself up for your opponent to counterattack. But the main takeaway is that you will score a drink. So it's good if you are scoring a hit. Once again, you do push your opponent back away from you, you score a nice drink, but you are effectively resetting back to neutral. After that, now we're dealing with what might be the most meme-worthy move that Jamie has, which is fuck it, we palm. Or what we actually call it, palm. It's going to be quarter circle back at any of his punch buttons. Just like with all the other attacks, the higher the intensity of the button, meaning light versus heavy, the stronger, further it goes, etc. His light palm, which is quarter circle back light punch, goes about that far. Inversely, his heavy version has some girth to it. A little tip from me to you. His palms are good for spacing. Just keep that in mind as you progress with Jamie. Great. Now, after that one, we have his Shoryuken or DP motion, which is forward, down, down, forward, and any of his kick moves. For his anti-air. Just like anything else, higher the intensity, stronger the attack. I've been purposely avoiding talking about his OD moves, but I think this time is relevant. His OD version of his anti-air is actually his invincible reversal. It's going to be your technique to get people off of you. Now, we're going to start progressing through his drinks, starting with level 1. I think I already spoiled this one early in the video, but I'll talk about it again. Jamie gains access to a dive kick. So being quarter circle back at any of his kick buttons, he'll change the trajectory of his jump and come crashing down on your opponent. Depending on the angle that you land at will change your frame data. You have to be jumping forward first, but if you just barely skim, barely, you'll be safe, or in certain situations, plus. So go ahead and experiment with this. The deeper you hit with the character, the more likely you are unsafe. At level 2, Jamie becomes a breakdancing monster. Quarter circle forward and kick will unlock his Bakai, his breakdance move, which also doubles as his anti-fireball technique. This move by itself is already dangerous. It does some pretty decent damage. Obviously the heavy one goes further, hits harder. Just for comparison, goes practically full screen. Although it does take a little second to get to your opponent. Versus the light one, about half screen. But for combo fodder, this bad boy does damage. I did mention earlier that his Bakai is his anti-fireball technique. So it's going to be a bit of a hard call out, but if you know the opponent is throwing one out at you, you can respond in kind. Now, his level 3. At level 3, Jamie gains access to a command grab. He effectively becomes a grappler by pressing forward, down, down, back, back, so half circle motion, and any of his kick moves. He will ask the opponent to behave, all sassy-like, opening them up for any move that is 8 frames of advantage or faster. So with this being a command grab, it does scale, so the next move will not do that much damage compared to what it could naturally. But it is good damage if you have learned to condition your opponent to sit still. And now we're going to start talking about his level 4. So unlike his other steps, level 4 doesn't so much as add a move, at least not the way I like to consider it. It's more so it evolves a move he already has access to. His palms, right, the fuckery palm that I was just talking about, it now has a follow-up. So by the same command, quarter circle back any of his punch attacks, if you were to press forward punch after it, he does another palm. Great for damage. And if you notice, he does glow blue for both, meaning you can cancel it for very, very good damage.
Come on. It's time to train.
Great, we have graduated. We're now talking about his super arts, his levels 1, 2, and 3. Showing it off in the menu, his level 1 is going to be quarter circle forward twice into a kick attack. It'll look like this. Very quick startup, very good damage. Looking at it again, it does say something way at the bottom, hold down to change effect. Let's go and execute the same attack, but this time we'll hold down. The attack comes out the same, but Jamie takes a swig. So once again, sacrificing a little bit of that pressure, a little bit of that frame data, but you do come out with a little, in this case, extra drive gauge and extra levels. I'm going to go ahead and skip level 2 for now. Level 2 is more of a utility attack. I'm instead going to go to his level 3. For his level 3, it's going to be quarter circle forward twice, once again, this time with a punch motion.
Come on. It's time to train. Not good enough.
There we go. Now that move didn't do as much damage as most other level 3s do in this game. Part of the reason is you can actually move before your opponent can. Not in the traditional sense where like you have advantage, more so literally, you are free to attack. So it grants you options depending on what you're aiming for, on how to end this special attack. Now's a good time to start talking about his level 2 then. Looking back at it, his level 2 is quarter circle back and a punch button. Now I want to save this for last because this actually allows him to unlock level 4 without any other prerequisite. He doesn't have to drink anything, it's just whatever level he's at, forget it, he's at level 4 now. At the bottom, the gauge starts slowly decreasing. Once it empties out completely, he returns back to his normal self. There realistically is not that much drawback besides the fact that it's temporary. You just unlock everything. So it's good for if you're in a pinch, you need to do some big heavy damage, you were able to catch them off guard with something, anything really. To be honest, one of my favorite go-tos is to really make him hurt for executing a bad drive impact. Alright, we're making great stride. Let's go ahead and start talking about Jamie's strengths. So if it hasn't been made obvious so far when I was describing his attacks, Jamie is effectively a rushdown character. He likes to be in your face. So his moves reflect that. A lot of his moves, let you go and bring back the frame data. Jamie's moves create a lot of tension, make the opponent feel really uncomfortable, because the untrained eye, you don't really know when it's your turn. So now discussing some of Jamie's safer moves, I'm going to go ahead and just show some examples of some moves that like out of drive rush might be, better for you to use more often rather than not. The main culprit that people don't like, drive rush into 5 HP. His standing heavy punch leaves him +1. One of my favorite go-tos is drive rush into his forward heavy kick. Similar story, leaves him +1. Although it does trick some people, makes them think for some reason that it's now their turn, when it's not. Another personal favorite, same story, drive rush, but this time into forward medium kick. Leaves you +1. This also gives the illusion, maybe because it looks like a slower move, that you give up your turn. Not the case. This next one I don't see too often, but I still recommend you give it a try. Drive rush into standing medium punch. 6 frames of advantage. So some of his moves get blocked off, right? Like, don't recommend you try anything that's 5 frames or lower, because, well, your opponent's stuck. They're jailed. They can't actually make a mistake. They're stuck, still reeling from this attack. I mentioned earlier that his, fuck it we palm is a very effective tool in creating a nice space. It gives the illusion because I am close-ish to you that you can strike me back. That's a very fatal mistake. If I space it out correctly, you're getting bopped. Speaking of getting bopped, I mentioned this earlier that his standing heavy kick is one of his best moves, where he swings his entire leg all the way around. On a successful punish counter, it causes a crumple state. And since the move itself is cancelable, you can actually score yourself 2 free drinks just for the trouble. So effectively, Jamie can indirectly control the pace of the battle. If left to his own devices, Jamie can just keep drinking and getting stronger and recover. He has a very unique mechanic in doing so. It puts the pressure on the opponent to come and face you. Alright, now we're talking about some of Jamie's weaknesses. I mentioned before he's a rushdown character, so to offset that, he doesn't have any projectiles, making it a little bit harder for Jamie to get in if the opponent is attacking aggressively with fireballs. He does have some options. He has a way to get through, you guys remember, level 2. Jumping over, of course, like most other characters. With hard callouts, he could force his way in. But one bad call, and you are death on block. I will admit, with Jamie, it does feel sometimes like an uphill battle. If the opponent is good at throwing out projectiles, timing them correctly, frustrating you as a Jamie player, it's hard to really force your way in, because Bakai moves so slow and covers not that much space. The stronger, heavier version is probably your go-to, and although it does become invincible very early on, he doesn't move fast enough to really cover full screen callouts. So unless you're in mid-screen, maybe closer to here, and it's a hard callout, you're not gonna really get much. Not saying it's not worth it, just hard. Another thing, the game is already resource intensive. You having to worry about your drive gauge up here, your health, frame data, since this game is very, very heavily dependent on understanding the frames, knowing when it is and it's not your turn. Even your resources down here, it's already complicated enough. So to add yet another resource, and on top of that, trying to remember what move becomes available at what level can become very hard to manage, no pun intended. So it can turn a lot of players off. If they're looking for something cool and unique, this could teeter on that line. It could be considered cool and unique, but it could also very easily turn people off because this is very complicated. If you like complication, if you like feeling rewarded for understanding, Jamie's a great player to play. It's definitely a challenge, very fun, degenerate even. But if you want to understand the game, Jamie being the first person you pick might delay your process in understanding things. All right, now on to the next section. We're gonna start talking about the recommended mindset that I think most players who are starting out with Jamie should consider. With Jamie being a rushdown character, there's a very strong possibility that you will accidentally learn less than stellar habits. You might depend on some of his better buttons and, unbeknownst to you, be stunting your progress in learning the game. Keeping it very binary, my recommendation is having Jamie be in one of two states. Either they're in the face of the opponent, which in this case, utilize his target combos, interrupt your own combos, have them guessing when it really is their turn or not. Obviously understand your frame data. You don't want to randomly do a move that leaves you death on block, because anybody who's paying attention will obviously punish you for it. But for the most part, he has a lot of weird janky animations. Use that. And if you're not in their face, that's okay too. Don't forget that as a resource character, although you can't hurt the opponent, doesn't mean that you can't make winning even easier for yourself down the line. So if they're playing passively, if you have a couple seconds, abuse that. You could consider it you're controlling the pace of battle, ergo, if they're too far away, make them come to you. Especially if you have a health lead, there really isn't much reason for you to approach, but assuming that you do want to, do so carefully and understand that it's harder for you to get in because once you do get in, you are stronger. So make sure that you make them pay for letting them get that close to you. Either you force your way in or you force them to come to you. And that successfully brings us to the final section. So Jamie, the game plan. All right. Personally, my Jamie has found success in controlling the close to mid-range. Obviously, you know, he's a rushdown character, very intense and in your face. I have a lot of luck with his heavies, although there is a lot of give and pull with that. But when executed correctly with proper spacing, Jamie becomes very annoying and very scary. I feel like it's easy-ish to condition your opponent. Once you make them realize that even from a distance, Jamie is dangerous, they start to hesitate a little bit more. Ultimately, Jamie is annoying. Yes, I think anybody would agree. He is super annoying. Use that to your advantage. Frustrate your opponent. Just bombard them with a multitude of, well, what is effectively bullshit. Make them make mistakes. I'll always recommend, look, there's going to be a double-edged sword. If you're starting out, learn his base kit before you start really incorporating his drinks. When you have a decent enough understanding of him at his drinks level 1, 2, 3, whatever, then don't ultimately give it your all until you're level 1. Level 1 is when he is really viable, when he starts to become viable. Level 2 is probably ideal. The higher you can get, of course, the better for you. Learn basic stuff when he is at base level, because that's how you're going to start every single round. Don't make the mistake of immediately going for a drink once it hits round 1, round 2. You're leaving yourself vulnerable, and taking a drink is committal. So be smart with your drinks. They're there for a reason. That's his whole game plan. And also remember that your moves get better as you drink. So it's a really interesting game of balancing. It's fun if you let it be fun. Once you condition your opponent to be scared of you, enter their space. Pressure them, especially in the corner, he becomes overwhelming. Sometimes it's better to just take little pot shots here and there, and then unload on them later. Another lesson I really learned the hard way, please do not get greedy. If you're gonna go for a drink, go for a drink. Unless you have clear advantage, just go for one, take that as it is, and work on the rest of it later. Do not drink, then drink, then drink. Don't drink, then drive rush. That's a lot of actions and they're all committal. Take your time with Jamie. He is a rushdown character. You don't need to rush with him. And that's the end of this video. Thanks again for watching. Go ahead and click on this video if you want a little bit more. Remember that there is a Discord channel. Link to that is in the description below. Again, my name was Ockword, and go ahead and punch somebody. Virtually.